Simgiget, Sigidamhanak, Gant Gabawilsa, Amasilkswa, Janna Wale, Gitxsan Nation, Tonse, Janna Kashon, Surrey Niwicken, Mista High, Spiritwood and Meadow Lake, Mon Famille, Shinakashu, Charette, and Arkand. My name is Janna Wale, and I am Gitxsan from Gitanmaax First Nation on my dad's side, and I am also Cree-Métis on my mother's side. And I am a climate scientist. And as a climate scientist, I can tell you this with certainty. The environmental chaos that we're witnessing, the mega fires, the flash floods, the diseases, they are all just symptoms of a larger problem. We are living in an unhealthy relationship with our environment. All the things of the earth and the sky are letting us know that we have taken more than we've given. What we're seeing now is the earth letting us know that she is not happy with us. Indigenous communities have known this for generations. We've been sounding the alarm for the need for balance, for respect, and for reciprocity with the earth. And as a member of the Gitxsan Nation, I have witnessed this firsthand. Climate change is not only an environmental problem, it's a relationship problem. And the truth is, we can't heal our planet until we heal our relationship with it. As a kid, I remember going out to harvest salmon with my family. We used to be able to get everything we would need to last us through the winter months in just 2 days. All of that changed during the summer before grade 11. My dad, my uncles, my grandfather, and a couple of cousins and I all traveled out to the historic village site of Gitanmaax, the place where the river narrows, the place that my family has been harvesting for generations. My job was to follow my dad and my uncles up and down the riverbank and wait for them to put fish into shallow pools. Then my cousins and I would collect them and carry them back to the cooler in our truck. After a few days of this, of going up and down the riverbank, day in and day out, we still only had a few fish to carry. Towards the end of the week, we had gotten so few fish that my dad and my uncle decided they needed to sleep out overnight at Gitanmaax just to make sure that we would have enough fish to feed our families for over the winter months. My cousins and I were being sent back into town, but we were leaving my dad and my uncle behind. I mean, imagine it, my dad and my uncle 2 hours down a back road with no cell service, while I climbed into bed wondering if any grizzlies might be lurking nearby, looking for a couple of easy Gitxsan-flavored meals. This was the first time in my life that this had happened, that the salmon did not return, or at least not very many of them. This near constant of mine, my whole life, and really since the beginning of time in our territory, the salmon returning home. My village, Gitanmaax, literally means people who harvest salmon using torches. They're a part of us. The low salmon return, paired with the feeling I got of looking out the back window of the truck as my dad and uncle fade into the dark, ultimately changed the trajectory of my life. It led me to go to school, to get a natural resource science degree, and later a master's in sustainability. But back then, I was way more concerned that my dad was about to get eaten by a bear. As I got older, and the more that I studied about climate change, the more that I realized the real threat isn't the bears. The bigger danger, the one that we can't escape, is the changed relationship we have to our environment. Rather than an actively held relationship, nature, for some of us, became a place to visit on weekends. For others, certainly those who have conquered, claimed, and stolen power, this loss of relationship is a byproduct of a larger objective: money. When settlers arrived on our shores about 300 years ago, our collective relationship with the land quickly changed. It became a one-sided relationship, and we all know that never works. Rather than being guided by a balanced relationship in the way that my ancestors and their ancestors were before them, industry is instead guided by how much they can extract for the cheapest amount possible. But as a Cree elder once said, only when the last tree has been cut down, only when the last fish has been caught, and only when the stream has been poisoned will we realize we cannot eat money. We've all heard that relationships take work. That's what my parents have taught me since the beginning. They met in grade 11 and they've basically been together ever since. Last year, they celebrated 43 years together. So as much as my teenage self might have disagreed, they must know something. And what I've witnessed is that successful long-term relationships take things like time, effort, respect, and reciprocity. So little did my parents know, the behaviors that they modeled to me actually extend beyond how we are meant to relate to people and actually extend to how we are supposed to be in relationship with the land. Being able to harvest salmon every August is the result of being in a balanced relationship with our environment. They honor us because we honor them with our actions and our intentions. We don't take more than we need, and we use every part of the fish, the eggs, the fins, and even the head. The parts that we don't use, like the guts, are returned to the river. This nourishes the stream, allowing the juvenile salmon to grow and find their way to the ocean. Even the bears, the ones that I used to worry might turn my dad into a meal, play an important role. As the bears fish for their winter food, they carry the salmon back into the forest where they eat them. In doing so, they release the salmon's nutrients back into the soil, completing the natural cycle. This influx of nutrients carried up the rivers by the salmon in both their life and in their death is what allows the trees along the coast to grow so tall, their canopies casting shade over the water, giving the next generation of young salmon protection from the heat as they begin their journey once more. Can you see it now? How intricately and how beautifully everything is connected, each part of the cycle supporting the next in perfect balance? The stewardship of the salmon is just one example of how Indigenous communities have been in active relationship with the land. Cultural burning, marine gardening, medicines that come from the land, and traditional foods that lower cholesterol and fight diabetes. Our people are scientists, the original scientists. Across every environment and in every community, we have countless examples of how our communities have, and have always, had the answers to being in good relationship with the land. And the answers, at their core, are simple. We need to rebuild our relationship with the land, guided by values like respect, reciprocity, balance, care, and attention. And these are not just Indigenous teachings. They are universal principles that can help us all to reconnect with the land by shaping how we live and interact with it. But we know, fundamentally, that this will only happen through relationships and through ingenuity. The ingenuity of seeing the connections that exist between ourselves and the natural world and responding to them in ways that foster connection and balance. I believe that relationships and connection are the way forward, and our relationship with Mother Earth is the most important of all. Indigenous communities are already leading the way. We have millennia of knowledge, wisdom, and practices that are all going towards building climate resilience for generations to come. All you have to do is support us, learn from us, rebuild what was lost with us as allies, as advocates, and as active players in shaping our collective futures together. What we do to the land, we do to ourselves. and it's time to choose a future that honors both. Thank you.